The change is already happening, gang. We are in the middle of a global shift. Now, I break it all down in my most important book yet, America Awaken. Go to americaawaken.us and get early access now.
Okay, we are working on the audio. Not sure if that's on the governor's end, but we're working to get that production up and running for you so you can listen in. We certainly will have excerpts of what the governor has said, but we're efforting to get the audio working so we can hear Governor Newsom's speech. We do know that he did file a law.
And it all went downhill from there. The technical difficulties were actually the best part of the speech. Absolutely symbolic, given that Newsom literally says nothing even when you can hear him. That speech, that attempted speech last night to the nation, that's the way it was billed by the dying legacy media. That speech was a horrendous disaster by any objective metric. I honestly don't know what Newsom, or Newscum as Trump likes to call him, I don't know what he was trying to do there other than obviously position himself as the front runner for the Democrat nomination 2028. He doesn't care about LA. He doesn't care about the citizens of California. There was absolutely nothing in terms of substance or policy that could even remotely be considered directly addressing those riots. How do we resolve those riots? No clue whatsoever. In fact, it was a disastrous speech that didn't just begin with technical disasters. It was preceded by Newsom's own self-inflicted wound earlier in the day when he got caught lying. Blatantly lying. You may have seen this earlier in the day. Newsom actually tried to accuse President Trump of lying. Trump had claimed that he contacted Newsom before sending in the National Guard troops over the weekend, and Newsom turned around and said, no, he didn't. That's not true. No, President Trump never called me. I never spoke with President Trump about this. And so what did Trump do? He turned around and shared his call log with the exact time of the calls he made to Newsom. He called him first at 1:22 a.m. on June 7th. Newsom did not pick up. Then Trump, being persistent, called him back a minute later. And the call log clearly shows they talked for 16 minutes. This is the typical pattern of the Biden cover-up. What you attempt to do is you attempt to smear truth tellers as liars and present liars as truth tellers. Gavin Newsom is a bald-faced liar. So that's how his day started yesterday. Oh, yeah, and of course, there was also this.
Denied the state of California's request to stop Trump from using the California National Guard to keep the peace and keep order during these protests. CNN's Elena Treen is at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where President Trump is speaking. And Elena, that's a big development, the judge denying California's request. Tell us about that, and tell us what the president has been saying in his Fort Bragg speech.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge deal for the president here and his administration. And we heard just moments ago.
You know, that just makes this judge's order shooting down Newsom's attempt at thwarting the president's executive authority all the sweeter with CNN having to report on it. So obviously the day wasn't going well for Newsom to begin with. And then we get to his speech, and it was literally nothing more than California's failed governor doing what he does best, deflecting responsibility away from his own self-inflicted disasters. He did everything he possibly could to Biden the riots in LA. This isn't about my failed policies. This isn't about me overseeing the degeneration of California. This isn't about the social conditions that have caused millions upon millions of people to flee our state and relocate during my 2 terms. This isn't about my sanctuary city policy. No, this is all about Trump. It's Trump. It's Trump. Hitler. Dictator. That's the problem. Nothing to see here beyond that. California is really in great shape. Peaceful, mostly peaceful, fiery, but mostly peaceful. I mean, California, under my leadership, California now ranks first in all kinds of categories. California has the highest poverty rate in the nation, bar none. It has the widest income gap between middle income and upper middle income brackets, and the widest disparity between rich and poor in the entire nation. In fact, maybe the protesters have a point in waving those Mexican flags, because California's wealth disparity is actually worse than Mexico's. It's actually worse than a third world nation. 80% of California's jobs, you heard that right, 80% are below the median wage, half of which are paid less than $40,000 a year. California has the highest unemployment in the entire nation, and it has the highest level of illiteracy. According to the U.S. Census, every year for the past 15 years, an average number of 100,000 Californians leave the state as over against those who move in. Here is the one and only Scott Jennings of CNN summarizing it all.
It's amazing to me. First of all, this guy's the governor of a state, and it has got one of its most important cities burning on his watch, and he's out here launching a presidential campaign. I mean, there's no other way to listen to what happened. He governs a failed state. He sits atop of a failed state. It's not particularly controversial for Donald Trump to enforce federal law, our immigration laws, and yet to Democrats and to Gavin Newsom, it's an affront to them. All that's happening in California is that a bunch of foreign nationals have occupied large swaths of the United States. One city is burning, and the president of the United States is trying to bring order. That's all that's happening. And we get this litany of complaints from Gavin Newsom about everything, about how much the Democrats in California have failed. I don't think it's going to resonate with the American people. I think it's going to look opportunistic, and people are going to wonder, why in the world is the governor of California complaining about Harvard when one of his cities is on fire?
And it's not just Scott. Here's Republican strategist Joe Borelli, also on CNN.
Let's start with the most preposterous part of this speech. This is night number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 nights of riots and looting and violence on the streets of his principal city. And Gavin Newsom uses this opportunity to give a speech against Donald Trump, not about the rioters, not about the people who are out there committing the crime. NBC, other networks are saying this is the first step in his presidential ambitions, and basically this is what's going to make Gavin Newsom president. Well, if that's the case, let me be the first to salute President J.D. Vance in 2028, because that's what's going to happen whether Democrats like it or not if this is their main guy.
Gang, if there's one thing I've learned, it's that a strong routine is the foundation of living well, both physically and mentally. And for me, that all starts with a good night's sleep. And that is why I've been using Beam Dream every night now for months. And I genuinely cannot imagine my nights without it. Before Dream, you know, to be honest, I'd lie awake for hours thinking about the future, the news, the world. It was exhausting. I just couldn't turn my brain off. But now I fall asleep. Seriously, I kid you not. I fall asleep in under 30 minutes, and I stay asleep all throughout the night. I wake up without that foggy, sluggish feeling as well. I mean, in fact, since I began taking Dream consistently, I've noticed a real difference in my focus, my mood, and my energy all throughout the day. Dream is made with top quality, science-backed ingredients that help you relax and get the deep, uninterrupted sleep your body needs. Seriously, I take it every night. It's become a ritual of mine I actually look forward to. And unlike other sleep aids, there's no grogginess the next day, just clear-headed, focused energy. Now, sleep is something you've been struggling with. I cannot recommend Dream enough. Right now, you can save up to 35% off with my exclusive Beam discount. Just click the link below or scan the QR code and use code Turley at checkout. Don't settle for restless nights. Try Dream. You'll feel the difference. Click on that link below right now. The fundamental problem for Newsom is that the American people just aren't buying this. One of the best pollsters out there, Insider Advantage, they're one of the single most accurate pollsters in 2024. They knew Trump was going to win and win big. They just released this poll, and it's an absolute disaster for the domestic terrorist Democrats. 59% support President Trump's deployment of National Guards. Just 39% disapprove. It's a 20-point margin in Trump's favor. 20 points. And it's not just insider advantage. RMG, again, another one of the more accurate pollsters of 2024, they found that 58%, almost identical to insider advantage is 59, 58% support the Trump administration's efforts to deport illegal migrants. Only 37% disapprove. Again, an almost identical margin, this time of 21 points in Trump's favor. RMG also asks, how has the Trump administration gone in deporting illegal migrants? 55% said about right or even too little, versus only 36% saying Trump has gone too far. Again, a 19-point margin in Trump's favor. Even the Morning Consult, one of the most trashiest left-wing polling outlets out there, even they're having to admit that President Trump's approval is surging because of these riots. There's no way around this. Not only do Americans want their border secured and illegal aliens deported, but at the same time, no one except the most lunatic fringe of the Democrat Party, no one wants a repeat of the summer of 2020. No one. No one supports these riots. No one supports these Democrat politicians trying to blame Trump for their supposed escalation. For example, take a look at this. This is Manhattan last night. This is the chaos that broke out outside the Manhattan Federal Building. You'll notice only protesters and NYPD. That's it. There are no ICE agents. There are no National Guard troops, just cops and rioters. You see, this is the Achilles heel of the Democrat claim that Trump is inciting these riots. The only thing inciting these riots is the left's own insanity. Nothing else. Most people recognize that. Most people recognize leftism is lunacy. Leftism is lunacy, and lunatics are going to fulfill their job description. The Democrats and the legacy media can try to gaslight us until they are blue in the face. Most Americans know that the left is comprised of lunatics and lunatics riot. Not to mention they also know the legacy media routinely lies to them. They recognize that the left needs no escalation, since escalation is entailed in their lunacy. The bottom line here is that these riots in LA broke out because ICE agents were simply doing their job. On Friday, June 6th, ICE agents arrived in LA to arrest a few dozen illegal aliens when all hell broke loose, and a whistleblower has since come forth and admitted that the utterly incompetent Mayor Bass of Los Angeles told law enforcement to stand down. Now, regardless, her response was too late, and rioters began assaulting ICE officers in a blatant attempt at preventing them from enforcing immigration law, which, of course, is a felony. And so the president's mobilization order, which he signed on Saturday, June 7th, was clarifying and precise, quote, to the extent that protests or acts of violence directly inhibit the execution of the laws, they constitute a form of rebellion against the authority of the government of the United States. You cannot get clearer than that. And this inaction by both Governor Newsom and Mayor Bass reflects the clear policy of California officials, which has been to block ICE agents from enforcing immigration law. Heather McDonald of the Manhattan Institute has documented how from October 1st, 2022 to February 6, 2025, California's jails and prisons refused to allow ICE agents to take custody of over 13,000 illegal alien criminals, which is over half of all such refusals nationwide. 13,000 in California alone. By comparison, Illinois was a distant second. They were just shy of about 3,000 refusals. New York, by the way, is a mere 900 refusals. They were 6. So jails controlled by the and I say mere, by the way, in quotation marks there. So jails controlled by the Los Angeles Police Department and by the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department actually ended up releasing over 1,000 illegal alien criminals over that same time period into the general population. Now, why on earth would we expect either Newsom or Bass, if they're overseeing policies like that, why would we expect them to assist and accommodate ICE agents now? And that's precisely why Newsom in particular isn't fooling anyone, and why last night he did nothing more than blow up his own political future.